we know that certain things need to get done outside of practice, right? For student athletes, it's health, it's what you eat, it's sleep. Sometimes it's even more practice, the little things. And so I think that same drive and mentality applies to work and life, really.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast, your source for living a healthier lifestyle and developing a better mind, body, and soul. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful fitness gurus, athletes, and individuals who are passionate about enhancing all aspects of life, we provide you with the tools to help you take your lifestyle to another level. And now your host, Quinn Mitchell.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Quinn Mitchell, and today I have a very special guest. Zach is a former college athlete and also a successful entrepreneur. Welcome, Zach, to the show. Thank you, Zach, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. And would you mind giving us a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. So like you said, I'm a former college athlete, born and raised here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm currently at. So I currently work here at the company Bayer. Also have a couple side hustles on the top of that. Just looking to help people out and hopefully help them in their journey wherever they're going in life. So
yes, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
just to hop into things. I understand that you did play 4 years. Where did you play at?
Played at Maryville University in St. Louis.
St. Louis. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So when did you start playing soccer?
Yeah, I started kicking the ball around probably when I was about 3 years old. And then started playing select or club ball around second grade, so 7, 8. I've been playing ever since. So.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. So when I looked into your background a little bit, I see that you did have a little adversity when you were going through as a student athlete, just trying to battle back from injuries and all. And I know me being a former basketball player, a lot of people that listen to this podcast are athletes as well, and they often deal with injuries, and then the hardest part is bouncing back from injuries and trying to stay focused and coming back full circle. So could you just give us a little advice to people on if they deal with injuries and how they get back to themselves and in a full mental capacity?
Sure. Yeah, so I tore my ACL back in high school. And obviously it was right around the time when people are looking at you for college. So it wasn't ideal, right? But I said, I knew I was going to college to play. Obviously wanted to play D1. Maryville's and actually a D2 school. But I think it comes down to knowing why you want to get back into it, right? Why do you want to get back to your sport? Why do you want to get back to it at the highest level? Is it because you want to go pro? Is that your dream, right? Is it because you want to go to college and get college paid for in some capacity with scholarships? Is it for your just love of the game, right? So I think really knowing your why is going to help you get through that tough time. Because a lot of injury is just mental fortitude. It's all up here, right? The physicality of it for most student athletes isn't the hard part. It's not being able to play the sport that they love. It's not being able to contribute on the field. So, like I said, knowing your why you're going through that, why you're trying to get back, and then also figuring out a way to be grateful for the opportunity, for the setback. Because if you can look at it and dwell on it, or you can just move forward, accept it, and say, I'm coming back stronger, I'm coming back healthier.
See, I think that was my senior year in college. I was dealing with a groin injury, so it's coming from a big year, my junior year, and then transferring to senior year. Everybody had a lot of expectations for me. And then once the groin injury hit, as you know, playing soccer, the groin injury is like one of the hardest things to do. And my thing was, I thought I was just going to power through it. It's like, man, it was a big mental struggle for me, just trying to get back to that mental state where, okay, you can do what you love, but it's like being grateful for the opportunity as well, which a lot of people don't understand. It's like college athletes go through a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. So the next question I have for you is really, what was your biggest obstacle or struggle just being a student athlete? Like, was it the time, or was it trying to just balance out everything in your day?
I think for me it was actually more of a social aspect. As I grew older, I wanted to have more friends. I wanted to, socialize more so. But being a student athlete, it eats up a lot of your time. It's almost a full-time job, depending on where, what school you go to and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was missing out on some things or missing out on other clubs that I wanted to do because soccer took up so much time. The other thing that was a big one for me is kind of our personal team's record.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't, in St. Louis here, I was on some of the best club teams in St. Louis, and we played at, at a national level. And so we were a solid team, right? And so coming into college, our record was not where I wanted it to be, and not where the team wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. So kind of trying to work through that, trying to show up to every practice, every game with, okay, we're going to get better. We're going to do something to change the record, while continually not was a huge challenge for me personally. Just trying to stay as positive as possible, but obviously the L's that keep chalking up kind of wear on you.
Yeah. Now, so speaking of that, I know that on reading your bio, you were a captain throughout the 4 years. So just trying to when people listening, it's like, okay, you trying to get everybody on one accord as a captain, and it's like you have to deal with egos, people not want to show up to practice. It's like you got to even sometimes deal with the coaches. So how was that transition for you, just trying to get everybody on one page and try to, okay, this is the game. Even when some guys don't even want to show up some days, they be like, oh, it's just a walkover, and it's a team that you think you're going to beat, and then all of a sudden you get beat. So how do you just bring that level of focus every day and get everybody on one page?
That's a great question. That's one of the things I struggled with as a captain. You're supposed to be this guy that unites everybody, that kind of helps motivate the team. Mm-hmm. And even throughout all 3 of my years as captain, it was hard for me to figure out each individual guy and what they needed most, while at the same time trying to get the guys motivated as a team collectively. It's just learning about your players, learning about your team. I think, retrospectively looking at it, I think just learning about each guy individually. I think if I could go back, I would personally have like one-on-one meetings with everybody, just to see what their goals were, what motivated them on an individual level, so that then we could collectively kind of start coming together and motivating each other. So
yeah,
I think retrospectively, that's what I would do.
So I was going to jump into this later in the podcast, but we already talking about it now. So speaking of that, is there a way that you can translate that into the workforce, even after, just when you're working with people, trying to get, if you're in a group project or something, just trying to get everybody on the same page? Is it lessons that you took from playing soccer or being on the team that you can transition to the workforce?
Yeah, absolutely. When I think about the workforce and leadership in that aspect, especially like in a small group setting, I think in everything that I've been experienced in the workforce would just be, make sure that everyone's on the same page by repeating what has kind of been talked about within a certain meeting or, a group discussion. So this is, I think we're on the same page, but this is what I heard, right? Yeah, I think we're going to get X done by, in a week. And, Susie is going to do this and Beverly's going to do this, right? So I think you kind of all know the goal, at least at a high level, of your company, your smaller team within the company. But within those smaller meetings, a lot of things can get dropped, right? So it's really a matter of just summarizing at the end of the meeting what everyone's going to do, what was the conclusion.
So that's another thing I do realize in the workforce. I think communication is one of the biggest things that lacks, especially when you go into meetings. People say one thing and then somebody else does another, and it's like, we just talked about this in the meeting, like you didn't hear him. So I think the miscommunication is one of the biggest things for me personally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially dealing from playing basketball, it's like you talk with coach, draws up playing a timeout, and then it's like, all right, they go out and do something totally different. So it's like having that communication aspect, I think, is honestly one of the biggest things.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you were playing soccer, how did you balance out like your personal life and like your athletics? I know that's one of the biggest challenges a lot of people have, trying to just balance out everything.
Sure. For me, it wasn't that big of an issue personally, just because. So I have three siblings. We all played sports, so we were always bouncing around, doing homework at crazy hours and things like that. Sometimes late at night, sometimes in the car. So for me, it wasn't that big of an issue. But I think what will really help a lot of people is it comes down to your priorities and priority management, and not time management, because your sports and your homework and your extracurriculars are all going to take up a certain amount of time. And so by creating and doing your priorities first, so for me, it was athletics and then school. And so those are my two main focuses actually throughout college. And so I focused on going to practice first, getting my studies done, my homework done first, and then I worried about the social aspect of my personal life.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, on top of that, I budgeted my time. So I knew, soccer practice was at this time for this long. I knew when my classes are, right? They're an hour, 15, however long your school does it. And so then I could kind of budget, okay, I knew this homework was going to take an hour. I knew this homework was going to take, 30 minutes. And so I just budgeted out my time so that it wasn't wasted.
Got you. Now, do you still do that in your personal life now, even after college, like in your own work life? Do you still budget out everything?
To a certain extent, yeah. It's not as strict, but definitely with work. I mean, you have meetings that take a certain amount of time, and then I try and budget. Okay, I have 2 hours of free time. I'm going to spend an hour on this, or 2 hours on this particular thing. So definitely at work, and then definitely personal life. I do trying to get into more networking, which is kind of why we actually met, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So I spend a couple hours on LinkedIn trying to do a little bit in person as well, and just if I want to go have a drink with a friend, they want to do it at this particular time. So then it's okay, what do I need to get done beforehand? How long can I stay there? How long, how much time do I want afterwards to kind of get some things wrapped up for the day or whatever. So.
Got you. Now just jumping into the mental side of things, I just want to pick your mind a little bit. How do you deal with let's say even just being a college athlete performing at a high level? How do you bring the mental aspect from that standpoint to the workforce? Just being mentally sharp and focused on what the goal and task is at hand.
Yeah, I think as student athletes, we all want to be the best, at least most of us, right? Part of it's we want to be the best. I like to believe a lot of us want to do that for the team, right? A lot of these sports are team sports, so everyone needs to be at their best so that the team can perform at their best. And we know that certain things need to get done outside of practice, right? For student athletes, it's health, it's what you eat, it's sleep. Sometimes it's even more practice, the little things. And so I think that same drive and mentality applies to work and life, really. For me, I wanted to be the best at my position and role and career. I wanted to have a best life. And so that's transitioning in a sense that, okay, in sports, you need to do extra runs, eat healthy, take care of your body and things like that. But in the workforce, it's the littler things. Okay, what can I wrap up in this 5 minutes that's going to show my boss that I want to do well? Can I stay an extra 5-10 minutes? Ask my boss, do I need anything? Again, it's those little small pockets of time, those small things that not the average person does, that can, I think, really help you propel in your career and in your life, right? And so that same mentality applies. Just doing the little things, just doing the little bit of extra that no one expects you to do.
Yeah, that puts you over the top. So because like I said, a lot of people they often see us even when we were performing on the college aspect on the field, they will often see what we do on game day. They will never see the hours that we'll be kicking the ball when everybody else is out partying, or the hours we'll be in the gym shooting, and when everybody else is doing everything other socially. It's like all those little things add up to be this grand, spectacular performance we could see. But when
Mm-hmm.
everybody looks at it, they be like, "Oh, you did very good." It's like, wow. But at the end of the day, you know it's because of what you did when everybody else was sleeping.
Yep, exactly. And then on top of that, what actually drives you, I think, again, to actually perform those smaller things, when to go, shoot hoops on a Friday night when people are out drinking, all your friends, right? It's that why. Why are you doing it, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that why, if you have a deep-seated, deep-rooted why, that gets you to go out and shoot hoops on a Friday night when people are out partying. It gets you to stay a little bit extra at work. It gets you to do things that the average person isn't going to do, because your why is stronger, right?
Yes, sir.
So in athletics, it's probably a college championship, national championship. In work, maybe it's that promotion. It's that next promotion. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, going
That's
back
what
to that
drives
why.
you. Yes, sir. So just one more thing that I wanted to ask you. So just what is there anything that you would advise young college or young high school athletes if they want to play soccer or just any sport at a high level?
Mm-hmm.
It's just because I know me grateful I had a mentor growing up, so
Mm-hmm.
he played at a high level, played overseas, so everything I would just go to him and just ask him, well, what can I do here? What can I do here just to get
Mm-hmm.
myself above and beyond? And a lot of people they don't have that. So is there
Right.
anything that you would say that you can give them like a quick synopsis of what young athlete could do just to get to that level that you were at or to even be better?
Sure. Yeah. Again, I'm going to go back to the why. Why do you even want to be, you know, maybe let's say a professional athlete, right? College athlete. Kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning. Is it just a scholarship? Do you want to make it to the pros? Do you want to make it to the pros and provide for your future family? Figure out why you want to do something, because, actually my roommate was a solid baseball player in high school. But he actually did research on the school he was going to, his future, and what college student athletes actually go through.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know what, I could do that, but why? Right? I don't want to put myself through that. So he actually didn't pursue a college scholarship. He just wanted to have that college experience.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's plenty of people that are good enough. It's just a matter of figuring out what the result is that you want, and is college athletics going to get you there,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So, so do you think I know this is a conversation that me and my boys have a lot. Because I know, I mean, me personally, I know with basketball, there's a lot of politics that are involved that people
Mm-hmm.
don't see that goes on in the background. It's like, okay, bang, I might be better than such and such, but because he spends more time with the coach when I'm not around, he gets more playing time. You know what I'm talking about? So
Oh yeah.
what would you advise for somebody just to stay mentally strong in that aspect? Because I know there was times me even growing up when that would happen, I would just want to quit. I would say, why am I putting all this work in? Like this is ridiculous. But then it's like when you get the opportunity and you shine, then it's like, okay, now the coach sees me. But just going through that
Mm-hmm.
stage, what would you advise just for somebody that would just be struggling like, hey, I just want to quit. Like this not worth it. Just
Yeah.
sitting here just watching
I can tell you it's worth it. If you want it,
this.
for one. Two, figure out why. Why do you want it so bad? But I think if you have um, that tension because someone else is getting playing time and you're not, you want it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I think the third thing to like overcome that is your work ethic. I'll give you a quick story. So I was captain for 3 years, right? I actually started my first 3 years, played almost every single minute on the field. And it was a great feeling, just kind of, and I fell into some bad habits, got into some complacency during practice. Well, we got a new coach my senior year, and all he saw was the practices. And so because of those bad habits that I developed in practice,
Mm-hmm.
he actually didn't start me my senior year, the first couple games, and went with this other guy. Long story short, I was pissed off, didn't like it, and but I said, you know what, the team's more important, and I'm going to do everything I can to get back on the field. So I just started working harder at practice, started asking him what I could do. So, you mentioned someone else spends more time with coach. Well, how about you go spend more time with coach, right? I think most guys have their coach's cell phone, so just text them, hey, can I drop by? Can I ask you a question? Even if it's a silly question that you might know the answer to, just go ask them a question, figure out how you can spend more time with them, increase your work ethic, do the smaller things right, do it more often. Because what happened for me is the coach actually saw that. I stepped up in a position that I normally don't play, and actually earned a starting spot back. So just by, like I said, asking smaller questions and increasing the work ethic and accepting that, doing what's in your power to change your current situation makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. And just in closing, would you mind just telling the listeners what a typical day is like for you? If you have any more like special morning routines or daily routines that you go through?
Currently, or as a student athlete?
Either currently now or just either one.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I had a specific morning routine. As a student athlete, just kind of depended on classes and school and when all that started. Main thing was I tried to eat like 3 hours before a game, whenever that was. But now, I like to have a morning routine that really I think is helping me get to where I want to go in life. And that's waking up right now it's 5:30, going to work out right away. And then coming back and, getting ready. Like when I'm in the shower, I go through the things that I'm grateful and really try and feel the thankfulness, feel the gratefulness. Once I go through that and kind of get ready, then I sit down here at my desk and I write down my goals as if they already are happening, as if they already occur. So I am so happy and grateful now that, I have a boat. I am so happy and grateful now that I have X amount of dollars in my bank account. And so just really trying than that. And then it's, continuing to get ready for work, through breakfast and whatnot. And then the last thing is really just like listening to music that you kind of vibe with and, you bounce up and down, you're singing along with some motivational stuff, whatever that is for you. Anything that really, I think, and that puts a smile on your face can really set you up for a good day, a good week, all that good stuff. So.
It's funny that you say that because that was the last question I was going to ask you is what were you grateful for?
Man, there's a lot to be grateful for. Grateful for my injury now. Grateful for my current mentors who have encouraged me to, kind of network and why we're here today. I'm grateful for my parents. They instilled a lot of good values into me. I'm grateful for my family, current roommates, tons more. Grateful for the roof over my head, my apartment. I have a bed to sleep in. I can afford a car, food, all that good stuff. So,
well, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show and giving us some valuable information for us to listen to. Because, like I said, a lot of athletes, college athletes, we go through it, and this is honestly like a testimonial where people could really see like there's a lot more than what they just see out on the field. It's just there's a whole mental side of things that you have no idea that we go through.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it's my pleasure. It was great talking with you.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe or to leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at QuinnMitchellII.com, as well as find us on Instagram for more useful content and resources.